Like, stay tuned, man. There's more of the scoop.
To return some videotapes. 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 Videotapes.
Welcome back. Once again, one and all. Strange Glow Video. It's been a little while. It's been like a couple weeks. What's going on?
Yeah, we took a couple of weeks off here.
Yeah, live shows can be grueling. I don't know. Plus, we've had some tech issues, and Streamlabs finally sent out an update. So, here we are. And that issue seems to not be a problem this week, so that's good.
Let's rephrase that. We didn't have any tech issues. Streamlabs had all kinds of fucking issues that they were kind of in denial about.
Yeah, they kind of always are. They're like, well, if you...
Yeah, no, we didn't do that.
Like, at one point, I remember the instructions to stop to, like, make something work right was to turn my Wi-Fi off every time I launched, so it wouldn't try to automatically update, because if it did, then it would be unusable with the new update they had or something. I can't even remember what it was, but I had to do that for like a week before they fixed it. Just goofy. But other than that,
yeah,
there's news. We saw Evil Dead Burn, which
yes,
was a movie, and then Crystal Lake dropped the teaser trailer, and they dropped the bombshell that they're trying to make another Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And
yes,
I'm one of those people that I do see that as a good thing. I think we should start there, since that's the most, like, the lightest news, even though it's heavy.
It's heavy, but it's light. So we automatically started talking about this yesterday, and we're like, look, I don't want an A-list celebrity to take on the role of Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund wasn't like super well known when he did Freddy, right? It wasn't a huge thing. He wasn't some A-list actor that was out there just beating the shit out of everybody as far as kicking ass and just being awesome.
I don't know if you're going to bring this point up, but I want to ask, do you remember, and I'll let you finish after I ask this question, but do you remember who I said, people are going to say it should be this person, and I really don't want it to be? And this is before I heard any speculation about anything.
Oh, no, for sure. And that's, one of the Facebook, like, nerdy sites. I'm not going to name them because they cover a lot of bullshit on there, too. And they didn't cite their source of who's polling this, but they basically just said that Bill Skarsgård is currently voted as the #1 actor to play Freddy Krueger. And I'm like, no. Bill Skarsgård can play Pennywise the Clown in the It series. He doesn't need to take on another role in this. That's fucking stupid. If you think Bill Skarsgård should be Freddy Krueger, I feel bad for you, because you don't have a very good imagination. That means you're just like, oh, what do we do? No, you could do better than that.
It would be like if they cast Robert Englund to play Pennywise instead of Tim Curry, you know what I mean?
Well, and then the other one that they said was the second top choice was Doug Jones.
And that's the guy who does a bunch of creatures, but as far as I know, doesn't do a lot of voice work, but I don't know. Right?
Well, my thing is he's 66 years old. So,
nah.
That's way too old to do a Freddy movie if you're going to try to have a franchise again. If you're not, whatever. If you're just planning on being one and done, who gives a shit? But if you're actually going to franchise this, you need someone that's got some staying power for, I would say, 15 years at least, right? You know what I mean? And if Robert Englund's uncomfortable playing Freddy at his age, why else would anybody want that? And then according to this news site, the third top choice was Robert Englund, who I guess is potentially still open to doing the voice acting on it. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing is he would have to do voice acting, and you'd have to put him in the makeup at least for a few scenes. All of his close-ups, you'd have to be Robert Englund. If not, personally, I don't want an animated Nightmare on Elm Street movie. That sounds stupid as fuck. Like, not everything needs animated, especially horror. I don't want animated horror. Unless it's like anime style where it's really finely drawn and looks realistic and like really awesome and artistic. And even then, I don't want Nightmare on Elm Street necessarily done that way, you know?
If they were going to do, okay, so here's an oddball one. So a while back, they did a manga of Ghostbusters, right? It was a collection of stories, and that was around what, 2009? I want to say around the time of the video game, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting way to do those characters. And this is before there was anything actively in development as far as the film goes that was accepted. So part of me thinks that you could do that, but you'd have to do it like a faithful anime style manga adaptation of that. And then you could get Robert Englund to do the voice, but I don't think that would work for that style.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot to say. I think we were speculating about who we would maybe cast, or
Yeah.
at least throw into the ring for discussion. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even remember who exactly we came up with.
Well, so David Dastmalchian would be a
Yes, that was
great
one.
choice. That was one you sent over, and I was like, okay, because he's a great actor. He's done a lot of roles. His podcast is pretty wild. Like he interviews people from coffins, so he's
Yeah, I
he's
watch it
got
all
the
the time.
vibe. He's got the aesthetic. He could easily do that. Um,
And he's
he
not
also
famous enough. Like his face is recognizable, but if you put makeup on him and say, "Hey, look, it's David Dastmalchian as Freddy Krueger," they're gonna be like, "Who's that?" And you have to explain who it was, and they might be like, "Oh, okay, I know who that guy is." If they've seen comic book or horror movies.
Yes. And I think that's his advantage point is that he's not. My biggest thing is I don't want an A-lister. And when we first started spitballing yesterday, I was like, I want somebody that's completely unknown. And then I kind of backpedaled on that a little bit because there's always been this thing where people also want Kevin Bacon to be Freddy.
Yeah.
And while I feel like that would have worked for the last attempt at rebooting A Nightmare on Elm Street, Kevin Bacon is also, I think, just on the end of the age range for something if you're trying to build a franchise on, right? He'd be fascinating in that. I would love to see him as the cop in that movie, though. I would
If
love
you want
to
to see
him
Kevin
as,
Bacon
like,
be creepy murderer, he played the Invisible Man essentially in Hollow Man, and that movie is disturbing and amazing.
yeah. We also had a couple other mentions. I said Devon Sawa yesterday because I feel like he knows the horror genre well enough, but he's like not so popular nowadays where he's like an A-list, right? In his youth,
Yeah.
he was kind of like one of the teen throbs, heartbeat type of magazine cover kind of a guy.
Mhm.
But he's fucking classic in SLC Punk as far as the crazy character he plays there. Even the character he plays in Black Friday is entertaining. So
Well, he's known
lots of
for
potential.
horror too. You know, Idle Hands, Final
Mhm.
Destination, Casper, Chucky. So
Yeah.
like it's good for that too. Like horror, but not. He hasn't played an iconic horror villain per se or anything. You know. So
No, he's been in iconic roles as himself, but you put him behind some makeup as a villain, I think there's real potential there.
the other one I said is Kyle Gallner, which is funny because he's in the remake.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in a lot of horror movies. He was recently in Strange Darling, for anyone that saw that.
Yeah.
But I think he'd be
Hey,
fun as well.
Just taking a second to shout out Rabbit Hole in the chat there. He said, "Good evening, guys. Saw the new Evil Dead Burn. It was the worst of all the Evil Dead films. Even the remake, in my opinion. Can't wait for the prequel Evil Dead to come out. Sounds better." Also said the new Masters of the Universe He-Man was bad too, sadly. So, a couple of comments there. We will definitely talk some Evil Dead Burn here in a little bit. Masters of the Universe, I never got into as a kid, even though it's in my age range. I just never gave a shit about Masters of the Universe.
Me neither.
And honestly, when they cast Jared Leto in there, I just didn't give a fuck. I refused to watch it.
Yeah, that's
Just-
how I
I'm
was
not-
with
I'm-
Tron, and I liked Tron, so.
Yeah, and so anything Jared Leto's in, I'm just not watching anymore. He
And
shouldn't
listen-
be cast in all this shit. He's fucking scumbag.
Oh, fuck. You know what? I didn't even think of that. Rabbit Hole says Evan Peters. That's fucking excellent.
Yeah.
I like that because people say I look like Evan Peters sometimes. But he played, Jeffrey Dahmer recently, and that's the closest he came. And I think he's fucking excellent choice. That might be my top pick now that you say that.
That is a very good fucking choice.
Perfect age, too. He's like maybe in his early 30s, early to mid.
Yeah. Last movie standing. What's happening? Thanks for joining us tonight.
What is going on?
We've just been chatting about Nightmare on Elm Street news and some potential casting choices. I also controversially threw out that I would love to see this movie where Freddy is like a pastor of some sort, like a preacher, a Catholic priest.
If you're talking about a reboot, essentially.
Yeah, if you're actually going to do a reboot there. Now, whether they do a legacy sequel, I don't know if that's what their game plan is, but I was just thinking if they're going to go full reboot, and then the rumor on the street is that it's going to be based off of Wes Craven's original screenplay. So I'm very concerned if they go that route, just because I have seen the Psycho remake that was a shot-for-shot
I think
remake with Vince Vaughn.
That rumor is based on people who don't know shit about film rights, because the reason they're saying that is because that's what Paramount bought the rights to, is the rights to that first script.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're going to make it shot for shot. That means they can't necessarily. I don't necessarily know the rules, so they may or may not be able to do stuff from the other movies, but they may only be able to reference the first one. So they can probably do a remake or a sequel to that first one, essentially. And they could maybe... I don't know what they're going to do about the rest of it, but either way. McKenna Grace is Nancy. Now you're just like... Do you know who we are? Do you just know us very well or something?
Yeah.
I mean, the only problem I would have with that is that she was just in Scream and she's in Scooby-Doo and Ghostbusters. But
she's kind of a modern Scream queen, is from where she's at.
I wouldn't be mad about it. Let's put it that way. I do like her.
Yeah, for sure. I'm intrigued by the new Scooby-Doo. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it just to support it, but I don't think it's gonna be my bag. I just don't think it's made for me, and that's fine because Scooby-Doo has so many incarnations at this point. I've had my incarnations,
I'm just happy
for 40
that,
years. Yeah.
Like, my kids enjoy Scooby-Doo, especially my daughter. So what I'm really hoping is that this is something that she can enjoy. And if she enjoys it, I will gladly watch it with her all the time. Because I've made her watch... Well, I mean, we watched the first live-action Scooby-Doo the other day. We've watched Scoob a bunch. And we've watched, obviously, the first couple seasons of Scooby-Doo. Where Are You? I've got those, so...
Yeah. Can you hear this guy?
Yeah, so
the mic?
There's so much potential for a Nightmare on Elm Street here. You just got to get the right person. But anyone saying like A-listers or anything like that, I'm just like, that's the wrong way to go about it. It's a hard role to cast. And then we're also talking about like the makeup. The first Nightmare reboot really bragged about how they were going for like a real look of someone that's been a burn victim. And I'm like,
how about this? We cast Chris Pratt on one exception. We get to actually burn him and make him look like Freddy for it. I guess that's a little dark. That's a little brutal. But I thought it was funny. Just because they cast him as fucking everybody, so...
Yeah, I don't know. Ever since he got in with Arnold's family, he's just been doing everything.
Fuck it, cast Arnold. You know what I mean?
If we had to cast someone that's truly out of the age range to play this character,
Danny DeVito.
I was gonna say Danny DeVito would fucking slay. It would be so good.
I'm gonna kill you, you bitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's Netflix Scooby-Doo, No Hope. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's really made for... I'm just not the target audience, so I'm accepting that going into it, so I'm probably not going to enjoy it. I watched the trailer, and they seem to be going. The thing with Scooby-Doo is they need to stop trying to do too much heartfelt shit and just do spooky comedy. That's what you need to be. I don't need to be crying and in my feels, goddammit.
Well, and the fact that they made that whole like Scooby-Doo, didn't they make a sequel to Scoob and then just put it in development hell or just didn't release it, just like they did with all kinds of stuff?
It was actually sounded very interesting. It was like Scoob Halloween or some shit, but it was fully fucking made. People saw it. Like,
yeah,
screenings. So that's a bummer. But the only hope for that is that one movie. Sorry, I just read last movie standing comment and I got distracted. I heard someone suggest the dad from Evil Dead Burn as Freddy. I mean, I guess
he has.
I see what you're saying, but he reminds me just more of the 2010 Freddy, if anything. Like, he gives that vibe. He gives Jackie Earle Haley or whatever, which wasn't a bad choice, I don't think. I just think that movie ended up, for a multitude of different reasons, not working. But
when I say no A-listers, I have one exception.
Tom Cruise.
Elijah Wood could be interesting in that role.
Elijah Wood would be interesting in Elijah Wood could play as Kevin Smith would say, that he could play the shark in Jaws.
Yeah. No, I legit think he's got the chops for it. Like, just seeing the weird shit he's done. Like, if you saw the Toxic Avenger reboot with this character in there,
Maniac.
And he's wearing all that fucking crazy makeup, like, he could do it no problem without even fucking thinking about it twice.
Yeah.
It just, I think the challenge to this is, the first two Freddy movies are pretty serious in tone. There's not a lot of humor in there, and the stuff that we find funny is like accidentally humorous, right? Like Freddy cutting off his fingers is hilarious. The phone is hilarious, like, right? There's all these like gags that weren't intended to be funny. They're intended to be scary, but
yeah.
And then, that comedy vibe got amped up later on. So your casting really depends on how you want this franchise to go, assuming you're going to do more than one of these things. So
yeah. Either way, I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to be pissed off that they're going to do a new movie about this. I'm excited. Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite slasher franchise, period. It is my number one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, I'm going to be happy for it. I might be able to criticize elements as they announce that if they are something that upsets me. I don't know. I reserve the right to be outraged later.
Yeah, for right now, I'm cautiously optimistic that I'm just open-minded about it. Let's put it that way. Like, I'm not like upset. There's so many people that got angry about this, and I'm like, if you want to get angry, just go watch the last reboot they did. And when you go back to the makeup on that, they were all bragging about, oh, we made him look like a real burn victim. I'm like, kinda, but he looked like a burn victim that already had tons and tons of skin grafts and shit like that. So, you just got to go with the classic style makeup. It's got to be like grotesque and gory in a way that feels like fresh.
Right.
That just can't be based off like, well, we want it to look realistic. No, because they also had fucking like ashes floating around that movie all the time. And
it should be an evolution of Freddy in the same way that New Nightmare had a different look, but still was Freddy.
Yes. Yeah, you could see it and immediately recognize it. So there's tons of ways to do that really awesome, I think. So cautiously optimistic, but open-minded, accepting of this. I'm not like, oh, this is a bad idea. I'm like, yeah.
This puts, like, I think Sleepaway Camp has a remake in development from Keenan Thompson's company, and then Idle Hands is in development from Finn Wolfhard and some people. There's a couple others, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I guess they're always pumping them out. And I don't mind, because horror remakes are, like, if you're going to remake a movie, remaking horror movies, while, they do have a devoted and beloved fan base or whatever, it's like, you're more likely to get away with it and actually make it good.
Yeah. Yeah, the horror genre really feels like you can go both ways. So Rabbit, Hole basically said another Nightmare will probably suck. I hope not. I'm still optimistic. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people there that are going to be optimistic about it. And then Last Movie Standing said, I feel they're going to go full horror in this new one. Yes, I feel like with technology there,
And the acceptance of gore now. That's the thing. You could make
yeah,
this like fucking A. You could make an NC-17 Nightmare on Elm Street movie and it would probably do fucking excellent because all of its fans are fucking old as hell now. Like you might
hmm
not have a young audience, but you could at least do what Terrifier was doing. Now I don't want to see them be as violent as Terrifier, but I do want them to embrace the modern world in that sense of being able to get away with more shit.
I mean, even just, we'll talk about it later, but Evil Dead Burn had a couple of really gory things going on. And I was like, man, in the 90s, they would not have let some of that shit fly, or some of those sequences would have been like toned down or not as long.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the acceptance of that extreme gore, extreme violence is way more acceptable now. So much more gets passed through to an R rating just based on what society accepts. So, yeah, they could do some brutal ass shit with it. So I'm hoping it's scary as can be.
Yeah. In other news, Crystal Lake teaser dropped, which I watched once yesterday, and I haven't watched it again since. I probably should have watched it again for this prep, but it's pretty quick. I do like the imagery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be bad necessarily. I'm not like, oh shit. I'm also not as precious with Friday the 13th as other people, so that probably has something to do with how I'm feeling about it.
Well, there's a few things out there that give me hope for this. Like Linda Cardellini, I think, is going to be great in the role as Pamela Voorhees, right? I think she was well cast for that. She's done horror. She knows the genre pretty well. She's a big fan of horror. Like, she's always been very vocal about that. So I think she understands the assignment.
I do want to bring up, I saw someone make a post, and it had all 4 Pamelas in it. And then, like, I guess those 4 would be the original Freddy versus Jason. And it was like, which one's your favorite or whatever? And people were commenting. And then one person was like, I never understood why she's so old. She's supposed to be the mother of a young child and all this shit. And then it was like, just going the fuck off. And it was just so funny to me. It was just very amusing. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off track.
I know, you're good. You're good. So backpedaling here for a quick second. So Remarkable basically said, what about Andy Serkis as Freddy? Andy Serkis could probably pull it off, but I feel like if they do that, he's just done so much mocapture and shit. I feel like that's lazy. I just don't feel like that's inspired casting. To me, personally. Could he pull off the role? Probably. He does a lot of voice acting. He's got the mocap stuff, but I just feel like if you go to people that have already done a ton of shit like this, then it doesn't feel as fresh,
Yeah.
right? Same thing with just being like, oh, Bill Skarsgård, because Bill Skarsgård's done a ton of shit now that just like feels like some version of Pennywise or whatever else.
If we're going
So-
A-list, go with like Robert Pattinson. Somebody weird.
Hey, I mean,
He could probably pull it off.
after seeing his take is Bruce Wayne, yeah, that's he's got the chops for it.
I mean, shit, I like him in... He did a David Cronenberg movie called Cosmopolis too. That's pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
He would have been a good Patrick Bateman in a remake about 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's too old now, but I think they are
So
remaking that even, actually. They have it for a
interesting.
while. Rabbit Hole says Camp Crystal Lake looks cool for a TV series. Would be interesting for a new Nightmare on Elm Street TV series too. Heard a new Texas Chainsaws film coming too, and a Return of the Living Dead. Yeah, the Return of the Living Dead has a teaser out, and I don't know what's going on with that. Because there's some arguments about the rights and the people making it and stuff that I haven't gotten fully into. I don't know. The Texas Chainsaw remake is now coming from Curry Barker, who did Obsession. So depending on how you feel about that, that's either good or bad. Now,
Yeah.
I liked Obsession. Not as much as everyone else did, I don't think. But I'll see what he has to say. And I think it's A24 and Curry Barker are working on Texas Chainsaw. So I'm like, that sounds better than the last one, at least, probably.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, like, right, are just the bar is so low, and that franchise is so fucking convoluted that I'm like, I don't give a fuck who you let have a take at it anymore. Like, let's just do something
That's-
wild with it.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
what
what
I
I
was
mean?
saying. Like, I'm not an A24 hater, though, either. Like, I don't really, I've probably seen, like, fucking 10 or 20% of their, even all their movies, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I like a lot of their horror movies and their weird shit.
Mhm.
And I have a
Yeah.
lot of indie films that they've released, too. Like, there's one about the author David Foster Wallace
Mhm.
that stars Jason Segel as him, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. So
Do you think fans will expect a new Freddy? I think it's too hard a role to recast. That's what we were talking about. Like, it is. And again, we were saying if Robert Englund comes back, he's going to have a insane stunt double and then just do all the close-ups. That would be the bare minimum I would accept, pretty much. Like, I don't want to see him voice an animated character. And
No.
I don't want to see him recast in the same universe and then just voiced or anything either. But if they end up recasting, I don't know if you're here for that discussion, but we did mention a couple names that we thought were at least worth mentioning, which were, you mentioned Devon Sawa, I mentioned David Mismalshin. Rabbit Hole, I think, mentioned Evan Peters, which, again, that is he's borderline A-list, but I'd accept it.
yeah, I also mentioned Elijah Wood. Like, he's got the chop for that. So you've got some good choices out there, but
I would also accept an unknown that just fucking kills the role.
I mean, really, when you think about it, Bill Skarsgård wasn't doing a ton of like A-list shit before Pennywise, and he got that role, and then it was kind of became iconic for him. So I'd be okay with that too. But I think fans are going to have to accept it. But if you're upset about it, because we've had so many like reboots and sequel outrage and stuff in the last 15 years, really.
Yeah.
I mean, since they rebooted this the last time, honestly, that if the diehard fans don't like it, they're just not going to see it. But this opens up that genre and that entire back catalog to a whole new audience of people that may not have given a shit, because not everybody likes old classic movies or movies that don't look polished and clean or whatever else. So this could open up the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise to a whole new generation and expand it and just do something different than it's already done. So I'm excited about that. So
Last Movie Standing says, do y'all look at Obsession and go, hire that guy for Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I don't. No style. Hire the guy who did Evil Dead Burn. You see, the thing is, I wouldn't say he can't do it because the style's just that wildly different. Who fucking... Is it Michael Bay that did the fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake initially?
he did the Friday the 13th remake.
I'm pretty sure he did that too, didn't he? He did that
Yeah,
first.
probably, because for a while Michael Bay was into all like the reboot properties. Like he did the Ninja Turtle shit, which were fucking atrocious.
Which
so-
I'm just saying, Michael Bay has a very particular style, which I would not have thought would have translated to a Texas Chainsaw movie, but I fucking love that Texas Chainsaw movie. That's easily in my top 3 of those films. But okay, he just produced. Who the fuck
Okay.
directed that one? Marcus Nispel. Okay, well God damn it, that's what happens when they market these movies this way, you know.
Well, they're marketing the producer because it's a bigger name than the director in lots of these cases.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
Except now that they're getting like YouTubers, content creators to kind of like cross over, because
That's
names
been
are
happening
almost-
for years, though. Like, it's just now that
Yeah.
they're successful, and there's big ones in theaters in the last year. But
There's just several back to back to back, so I think that's
What I say, I just think that Texas Chainsaw already has like so many stinkers. I'm just not precious with it.
yeah.
And I personally, we're about to get into it, but I didn't give a fuck about Evil Dead Burn. So I would not watch. I'm not even going to go watch the movie the guy directed before Evil Dead Burn because I was just like, nah. But that's me.
Yeah. So Rabbit Hole throws out Bruce Campbell as Freddy, but Bruce Campbell's battling cancer right now. It looks like he's doing pretty good. I saw him post a video of him riding a bike, but I mean, he's even said he's retired from playing Ash, besides like voice work potentially. So I just don't see him going and taking on a character that needs to be that physical currently.
No, he wouldn't. And
plus there's all those like back in the day after they wanted to do Ash versus Jason versus Freddy. So I don't think taking somebody that's already kind of genre adjacent for that type of role would translate well.
The Texas Chainsaw remake is definitely the best out of those. I know people like the Friday the 13th remake. I haven't revisited it yet. And the Amityville one's okay. It's not bad. I like it all right.
Yeah. Friday the 13th I watched in theaters, and then I think I've only ever watched it once since. It's not that I didn't like it. It was pretty decent. I had fun with it.
The Hills Have Eyes is fucking king of horror remakes. And I'm doing a video about the Dawn of the Dead remake. I don't care what people say. That one's right on par with the original. Like, I love the original, and it is better. I wouldn't say that the remake is better than it, but it's getting up there.
Well, it modernized the concept to like modern technology. So to me, like that would be some fascinating shit for Nightmare on Elm Street. Like if you're going to take that concept, what does that look like when someone's recording somebody with a cell phone or live streaming the person like murdered in their room?
Well, there are people who live stream themselves sleeping. It's like a thing, so that'd be very interesting.
Yeah, there's some fucking fascinating shit you do with like current times if you're trying to have any kind of like a modern take on it. So
yeah. Again, I think as far as
Crystal Lake,
I don't have much else to say on it. Honestly, I should have revisited the trailer. I feel like we.
Well, I watched it. There's a couple things I wanted to say on it. Just we got sidetracked, but they did say all the episodes are going to drop at the same time. So I do like that. I do like being able to binge a show like that.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting week by week. The other thing that I thought was interesting, like within the teaser itself, is they flat out say, like, when my son died a year ago. And so, like, this takes place, obviously, I think we're going to see the original killing through flashbacks or of Jason drowning, and then we'll see other stuff. Looks fascinating. So,
yeah. If the whole thing generally takes place a year after him drowning, then they may have fucked up the casting. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Because that would mean that later she performs the killings when she is 73 instead of 50. I don't know. That's just getting a little like, you know what? You ain't overpowering shit. Already, you're a 50-year-old woman. You ain't overpowering much, but I don't know. That's kind of a weird thing. If that's what the actual explanation is, because Linda Cardinelli's 2 years younger than the woman Betsy Palmer who played Pamela Voorhees in the first one. That was that takes place in 1980. Jason drowns or whatever in 1957, is born in 1946. I don't know. There's just that would muddle things up, I think, in a weird way. But
that's assuming that it's going to follow a linear timeline of what we already know. So they haven't quite said that. They said this is a prequel, but they haven't said if it's like a direct prequel, and if they intend to do additional seasons, it would more or less be instead of movies, or if this is to set up a movie with Jason. You know what I mean? There's just so many unknown things about it. It's hard to really go too
Yeah.
deep with a 1 minute long teaser trailer right now. The final Night of the Living Dead is officially titled Night of the Rising Dead. So that's based off of Romero's last script he had completed before he passed, right? So I've heard about that being in a development. We'll see. I don't know how far he got into that before he passed away. So
Yeah. Well, what came after Diary of the Dead? He did another
Land of
one.
the Dead.
No, Land of the
Was
Dead
it
was
La-
before that.
Okay, Land of the Dead. Did that have John Leguizamo? Was he in that, or was he in
I think you're
Diary?
adding a few letters in there, but yeah, Leguizamo.
Yeah.
He's in that, and Dennis Hopper's in that. That movie rules. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
that one a lot. But Diary of the Dead's mid. It's just interesting because it's a found footage zombie movie. And then he did one more after that, like Island of the Dead or some shit, maybe? I don't know. Or some, it was this direct sequel to Diary of the Dead, kind of. But
Okay, yeah.
I think. But I don't recall that one being very good either. So not only does this not have him directing, which would be like the real reason to want to see it,
Mm-hmm.
he also was doing less good movies the last couple of years anyway. I don't know. I'm not stoked for it. That's all I'm saying. Like, I might see it. We'll see.
I'll definitely watch it just to kind of complete the series out. But yeah, it's not like
I don't even remember if I saw the last one is what I'm trying to say. Like, maybe once.
I don't either. Yeah, I know I've seen a couple of them, but I'd have to read it out there. Let's see. Ash Aaron says, I'd love to see Jim Carrey do Freddy in his Dark Cable Guy mode. Yeah, again, to me, it comes down to if they're going to go a more humorous route and try to blend like the action, comedy, horror of the later movies, or if they're going to go dead serious. I just don't. I mean, Jim Carrey can do it. I mean, obviously, he's done a couple of serious roles. He could pull that off if he wanted to, but I just don't think an A-lister is going to be like the best casting choice.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see that. I like Jim Carrey, and I would like to. You can give him some other weird, creepy role for sure, but like not that. That's just not the vibe.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's rip this Band-Aid off and talk Evil Dead Burn.
So yeah, the opening scene was pretty interesting. Spoiler alert: we're gonna spoil the shit out of this because I have no filter, and how else am I gonna talk about my disappointment with this film, other than to spoil it? I had middle ground expectations for this. We'll rank the movies at the end just because I feel like if I tell people exactly how I feel about the other movies, they'll know why I didn't like this one as much, and that's just not as fun.
Yeah,
I liked the opening scene for this movie though.
Yeah, and the boat and the dock. Yeah,
Yeah, the fish hook kill was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
The boiling water was interesting, less cool than the fish hooks.
The boiling water was fascinating. Like seeing all the dead fish in the water was interesting, and then apparently that was Jessica from Evil Dead Rise.
From the beginning.
Yeah,
that's what it seemed like.
That's what casting is. I verified. So
it didn't. It wasn't. It was like obvious, and I was kind of like wondering that. But I've only watched Evil Dead Rise twice, so I'd have to watch back both again to like compare. But it definitely felt like that's what they were doing. But I didn't want to assume,
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming you stayed for the mid and post credit scenes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that opening scene was cool. The framing device is interesting. I definitely I didn't mind the plot of fuck. I can't remember any of the characters' names right now. I took some notes too. I just didn't bring it in here. But the main girl who's married to Will, I guess is his name, the guy that gets in the car crash. He's
Allison or Alice. They call her Allison a couple of times, and they shorten it to Alice. So.
Okay, well.
And then William's the club owner, right? Because William comes back later. Joseph is the kind of pacifist, and then Thea, I think, was the other girl's name. His
Thea, I want to
girlfriend.
say is how
Thea, yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know, but
Yeah, and then Edgar and Susan were the parents, and Max is the dog.
yeah. So it's I liked the plot element.
Mm-hmm.
Follows the chords very nicely with the remake and even Evil Dead Rise, where there's some people struggling and going through some shit, and it makes it more interesting that they have to deal with this situation from her
Mhm.
perspective. That's why it's interesting that her character's in the movie, and I like that as a backdrop, even being at odds with the family.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like this movie felt more like another remake of like The Crazies than an Evil Dead movie. They were nobody was possessed in the same way that they were in regular Evil Dead movies. They
That's
were
what I
like
was gonna say.
slowly possessed and being like trying to like be normal and shit. But it's like I don't. Maybe I'm I'm nitpicking. Maybe I don't know. But that immediately I was like, am I watching The Crazies? Because that's what it feels like.
No, the Deadites did not feel like Deadites from anything in the other Evil Dead movies, which was my biggest disappointment in there because none of them felt like they moved fast enough. Like there's Deadites that moved like super fast, and this felt like this was rewritten as an Evil Dead sequel. I feel like a lot of this stuff was kind of its own thing, and then they rewrote that. Like the Circle of Men, have we heard that before? Like I don't remember ever hearing about that.
Mm.
So that was interesting. The Circle of Men was basically the grandfather there, and then they didn't go so far as to like say who he was or anything there, but I felt like they were trying to imply that he was, researching from the original Evil Dead because they referenced 1983 in the news articles and things like that. So they were
Right.
trying to paint this picture that it fits in there, but it just didn't.
Well, here's the thing. I do think that it might connect to the prequel that they're making now, eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
We'll
I
see.
think it will. Maybe, yeah.
On that, this movie also was pretty slow going for a while.
Mm-hmm.
After that initial fuckery, it was a lot of just sad moping around, which is fine. I'm not like somebody who's like bothered by dialogue, and no action.
Yeah.
But it was missing something until the scene at the crematorium was interesting, but ultimately I was like, okay, so where's Will? Right after this, like, how does he leave there? He just left, and Will's what? What happened to Will? That felt a little weird.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then like the possession changing or like trying to slowly infect other people is like, did you want this to be a zombie movie? Did you want? Well, I mean, like, just yeah. The last movie standing basically says the rules changed. Yes, the rules changed, and it really fucked a lot of things on this. Like I said, so much of this feels like it was written as its own thing, and then they just kind of shoehorned in all this other shit.
Yeah. Like I said, there's elements I liked. I also liked, like, some of the effects were really awesome and gnarly. One of the things that made me like literally go, "Oh," was at the beginning of the film, actually, when she walks out of the lake or whatever and steps on his hand, and all the skin just kind of warps off his hand.
Oh yeah, because he's boiled coming out of the water.
Yeah, that was a cool effect. And like the scene in the car. Well, the scene, first of all, let's talk about the dog. The way they murdered the shit out of the dog, I was like, okay, I get it. This is why everyone's saying it's the meanest Evil Dead. It's so mean. And I was like, it's not that mean. It's mean to the dog, yeah, and it's mean to me because I like dogs. But like, other than that, it's not any meaner. It's weirder. Deadites shouldn't be like kissing their wife, and that whole thing was fucking weird. And I was like, this is stupid.
That just like felt like That was so fucking out of place and weird. Like I was
Yeah.
just like,
I
it
mean,
just didn't like.
if it had gone somewhere and then had turned into some weird shit, it would have worked. Like if he like threw up in her mouth or something and was trying to lure her in, but she was like fully in and was just like, "Yeah, I give in. I'm gonna start smooching my dead-eyed husband." And they were like full on making out. And I'm like, "Yeah, this guy stabbed the dog to death like a couple hours ago. You're fucking weird."
Well, and then there's that part where she like reverts back to her other self in front of
Yeah.
Joseph, and she's like, "Well, you promised you wouldn't hurt him." Like, when was that in there? Like, it seems like they may have edited something out there, so the rest of that just seemed kind of silly. It's like, you really think a possessed person's going to tell you the truth? Are you fucking high?
Yeah.
And not in a good kind of like relaxing high, and like, did you do some bath salts kind of high?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Everyone's talking about the dog death part being mean, but not saying anything about the little girl at the end. That shocked me, to be honest. Yeah. Animal deaths bother me more than humans for sure, so that's why I was talking about it. Even kids. They keep teasing a shared universe, but I can't imagine the first trilogy ever mixing with the second trilogy. To me, these new ones are their own thing. See, I think Evil Dead Rise fits right in, especially with the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are right on par with each other, as opposed to Evil Dead 2013 and this one are almost the same tone, because they're... Actually, I would say this one's even more serious than that one. That one at least has some lines that are funny and satirical in the unrated cut and stuff that are like, where the guy comes back in after murdering like the girl and he's covered in blood, and the other two are just sitting on the floor, and he like chugs a bunch of water that's sitting there, and he just goes, "Thanks for the water." Like, that's...
Yeah.
At least, I don't know, some sort of attempt at comedy, but I don't know. Evil Dead Burn just had no comedy. It had me going like this, like, a lot.
Well, and there is some potential to do some really cool shit with the lore, which is so disappointing because I felt like, okay, you've got the Circle of Men thing, you've got the Kandarian dagger, the grandfather collected more than one, so like she's going through stabbing with a bunch of things, which is almost entertainingly funny, right? Where she's trying to find the right dagger, and okay, there's that. There's the old tape element, so there's some cool plot points that like I felt like the movie should have been based on that, not about like the movie about the grandfather would have been way better than this.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, I don't know. Like, when I think about this and I compare it to Evil Dead Rise, for example, like Evil Dead Rise, the characters are flawed, but I like them. And that's what makes it harder when they die.
Yes.
This goes more like traditional horror, where everybody's a shithead, but the people that are gonna live and maybe one other person that you're gonna see die.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you're like, just fucking kill them, put them out of my misery, because this is awful. They're a terrible human.
Yeah, the dagger looked like a prison shank. Yeah, the dagger that was the Kandarian dagger, and this looked like shit. And then, we've also gotten to the point where, we're not just talking about the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, right? The original Book of the Dead. They're talking about the other, well, I can't remember what they call those technically in the franchise. I don't have that in my notes, but they're talking about these other books.
Well, there's supposed to be 3 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm remembering their lore, is that an Army of Darkness that they talk about that, or Evil Dead 2? I don't remember.
I'm not 100% sure. But, and then, that final post-credit scene where we see Ellie Bixler kill the little girl at the funeral home parlor thing. And you're like, didn't that take place in L.A.?
Did it?
Evil Dead Rise? I mean, I'm pretty sure that, at least it was kind of implied that it was like in a big city like that because of the slum ass building they're in. Oh, and the earthquake in there, I think, is why the earthquake that causes that, I think, is what leads you to believe that it's set in somewhere in California.
Was this one in California, or?
No, that was the thing with this. This is like, the director's French, which obviously he incorporated that in with Alice's character, right? Her being French from all that, which is cool. I like that. There was a little bit of a different, unique vibe to it, but having one character that's kind of likable throughout this whole movie, and then her being a DV survivor on top of that, it's just like, fuck, like these people are all pieces of shit anyway. Like they all suck.
Yeah.
So, as far as like villains go, so let's talk some of the weird violence in this movie. Like when we were talking earlier in the show tonight about the violence they allow,
Mhm.
when Edgar blows his fucking brains out 3 times in a row,
Yeah.
holy fucking shit. Like that first one is like extremely graphic. I cannot believe they actually approved that as graphic as that was, because it was like slow-mo the Matrix of the brain spilling out. Now the second one was basically non-existent, and then the third one was they did just to kind of have that jaw effect. So
The Fight Club effect.
exactly, yeah. So like they really went over the top with some of that shit there, which is fascinating. But I mean, some of this felt like it was gore just to be gore. Now, granted, like Evil Dead is known for having some ridiculous shit. Like, we've all seen trees do some SA on people. So, that shit's pretty twisted and dark. But, this just, I don't know.
Yeah. I was slowly losing interest from the moment after the car crash, essentially. And then when boy from the car crash finally showed up, he looked like listen, I've seen several other people say the Mummy, but I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to say he looked like the little fucking headless guy or the bodiless guy, the smoking guy in Beetlejuice at the waiting room.
That's who the character looked like, but all the fucking shots of him walking from the fire were all fucking T-1000 from T2. It was so fucking uninspired. It was like you can have a nod to a scene without fucking directly recopying it.
Need to have that, add that like droney synth music over it.
I mean, when this comes out on home video, if like I rewatch it, the whole point will be to throw Terminator 2 score on there instead of whatever they used in this.
Yeah.
Which I didn't mind the score to this. It was done by like a French duo, I believe, which is based on the director doing that stuff. So I'm all for variety there. But
I read that it's his second time working with him. He did their last film, the previous film, Infested, is it called?
Mm-hmm.
Which has like an identical poster to Evil Dead Burn.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I heard Lee Cronin did The Mummy this year, and I heard that Mummy was basically just an Evil Dead film.
Oh.
And that's the problem with it, is that it's called The Mummy, and you expect a mummy film, and you go in and you get something completely different where it's a little girl infected by some virus or some shit, basically. I don't even understand it.
Yeah.
Maybe I should watch it, but
I don't know. I mean, we're at an interesting point, right? Because we all know IP people love. It's easier to market because you've already got a built-in audience, right? So, but people get fatigued from that, and then like you could do a fresh idea and have it be like, oh, that kind of reminded me of some things from the Evil Dead. Okay, cool. But you don't have to fucking title everything to fit it into a franchise and neatly package it, which is what's confusing about this, is because Evil Dead Rise is solid. I really enjoyed that movie. Now, I've only watched it maybe 3 times. I saw it in theaters. I've watched it at least twice since I bought it. So, so there's some fascinating stuff there, but the Deadites just did not feel like Deadites from any of the other movies.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the cardinal sin for this movie, was that the Deadites didn't feel authentic to the rest of the franchise.
Like if I wrote this movie and they were like, you have to put the dog murder scene in there. You know what I would have then done? I'd have had the father like skin it and wear its fucking thing around like on his head as he killed people. He wouldn't stand outside with the zombie dog like he is in The Crazies. Like literally, that's what I watched was The Crazies remade again.
Yeah, and then the character in this that I feel like they fucked up the most was the grandma. Because I feel like with her level of dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever she's experiencing, right? You know, they don't ever explain that, but she's obviously going through some shit. To me, she could have been very fucking fascinating as someone that got possessed early on because she wanted like to remember her husband or she knew what her husband was doing, you know. And then the family politics of this movie about like generational trauma being passed on, I get like that's an interesting concept in a thriller or something else, like a psychological thriller. But for Evil Dead, it just seems like, man, like you guys are doing a lot of like expose for characters that are all fucking garbage. Like that's cool that she resents her dad, but she's also a fucking piece of shit. So I don't care that she dies. Like, right? You got to give me something to work with here. Like, make it make sense. And then
So, I
Joseph
mean, like,
dies too, even though he's marketed as like the main character from the beginning.
which I get. It's just like become a cliche to do that though at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it does seem it's like, okay, I get it. You kind of have two main characters, Joseph and Alice. And then one's gonna end up being. It was just like a weird kind of, I don't know. Other movie like Backrooms almost kind of just did that, but it was way more creative about it, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a certain point where you realized, no, you know what? This movie has been telling me that she's the main character from the beginning. I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
This movie was not that. It was like, oh, I guess he's dead. All right, I guess we're following her now only.
Yeah. Good night, Rabbit Hole. We'll catch you later. Thanks for joining and thanks for chatting.
Good night.
Yeah, so I don't know. I went in with pretty low expectations on this, right? I didn't try to watch all the trailers for this. I watched the original trailer a couple months ago. I hadn't seen anything else just because, you know, something like this, I just wanted to be fresh. I didn't want to like all the good shit to be surprised. But what did piss me off was that stupid fucking weed eater. They just shoved that in your face. Like we all knew that was coming from the trailers. We see the dad get it, so they try to throw you off the scent of it. And then we see it later on, and I'm just like, I was bored with that as soon as I saw it in the trailer.
Mhm.
Right? Because it wasn't even a regular weed eater. It was a weed eater with a fucking saw blade on it. Like, okay, even in the 90s when they had the weed eater with those like little hard plastic things, that, like you didn't have to change the weed line all the time on. Okay, whatever. But it would have been way more fascinating to have someone schwacked up with the weed whacker line where it just like bruised you and made you bleed and bruised the fuck out of you than it would have been just to like cut people's heads off and shit. So, because I mean, when you think about it, like Ash Williams does some brutal ass shit to people because he has to. Like in this, you start getting there, but none of it feels like.
You have that chairs moment, which is the only moment that felt like anybody was coming to terms with like the actual situation and with the violence they were actually participating in. Was him smashing that fucking the girl's head in.
I guess to me was like it never felt like it became fun for the person surviving, right? Alice's character never felt like she had that turning point where it became entertaining for her. Which I feel like some of the other movies, you start to have some, especially with the Ash, you know, when Ash is in him, he's having a good time with it. So,
yeah, and that's the thing. I think ultimately that these opinions about these movies come down to is like, if your favorite Evil Dead movies are the original trilogy, you're gonna like this one less. But there's a whole fucking ton of people, and I can speak to this because my comment section on I did a video. I did videos about 4 Evil Dead movies, but when I talked about the remake, the unrated versus R-rated cut, I happened to mention in that I liked Evil Dead Rise better than it, and that triggered a bunch of people because they think Evil Dead 2013 is the best one.
That's fascinating. Like I enjoy that one.
It's
Not
good.
my favorite in the franchise. It's still a good horror movie for sure.
Yeah. So we're just people like that, and I say people like that like I'm gonna say something derogatory, but I just mean like we're not gonna come to an agreement on this movie, most likely.
Oh yeah, I mean, some of that's generational stuff, right? There's the nostalgia ties to it. There's the fact that you don't have Ash in there that takes away some of that. Now,
The fact that
granted,
there's no
Ash,
comedy.
yeah. Now the fact you do have Ash in his cameo at the end of the Evil Dead remake, which some people say is not even a remake; it's just another movie in the franchise. Which
That's what they've said now, like retroactively, that it. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell have confirmed that it's just another incident.
entry, yeah, and I'm fine with that.
I am too. I like it enough.
Yeah, so to not have to have it be its own thing, because that was my thing. I was like, how are you going to reboot this without having Ash in it?
Well, there's elements in that movie too that let you know that it's a remake if you're paying enough attention too. I feel like so.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those that's not spelled out and spoon fed to you enough, though, that you can.
Or not a remake. I mean, continuation. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not spoon fed to you enough that if you know the franchise, you can say, okay, that is a reboot or that's just within the franchise. But either way, we've got a lot of Evil Dead movies now, and the Ash versus Evil Dead, the series. So, there's some great shit out there to watch.
Yeah. So
I just think that what I would like to see something in this franchise get as fucking ridiculous as Army of Darkness again.
I mean, at least Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Because Army of Darkness, I would take it, but like, at least do the Evil Dead 2 energy, where there's plenty of hilarity and shit. And I think out of the 3 films they've done, Evil Dead Rise is the only one that even comes remotely close.
Yeah. Now, I have seen things where, because I think everyone knows that Bruce Campbell did the cameo as one of the characters on that analog recording from Evil Dead Rise. And I think Bruce Campbell has stated that his take on it is that's a time displaced Ash Williams, like warning those priests not to do that. And I'm like, okay, that's an interesting take on it because we know that he has time traveled, right? Especially within the series and in Army of Darkness. So
yeah,
that's not too far fetched, I guess.
Yeah. How would you rank these movies?
We're leaving the series out, just going by movies.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead, the original, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead Rise, Evil Dead, what was that, 2013?
Yeah.
And is that what it's from? Was it 13 or 14? I can't remember.
13.
Either way. Okay, so that one, and then Burn. Right, Burn is 6 out of 6. It's last place for me.
Well, mine's not going to be that much different than yours, but if I'm going just personal favorites, it is going to be the first Evil Dead is the best one.
Okay.
For me. And then Army of Darkness. And then Evil Dead 2. And that's not like saying it's worse, because if I watched it a lot more, I'd probably like it more. But when I was 16, the movies I bought at Walmart, the Anchor Bay releases, were Evil Dead and Army of Darkness, and I don't remember they didn't have Evil Dead 2. So those are the 2 I watched for so long. So the 2 that I'm connected to more, I would say.
Okay.
But Evil Dead 2, I could maybe see arguing is better if I watched it a lot more. But I think the first one is just like a masterclass of like, what the fuck, man? This is just so fucking weird and awesome and shit. And Army of Darkness is like, my opinion on this movie has been up and down over the years. Like when I was a teenager, that was my favorite, hands down. No way, Jose. And then as the years went down, I just liked it less and less and less. And recently I've come back around on it. So
that's one that like has elements of like Gulliver's Travels mixed into it. Army of Darkness is, which
And
is fucking fascinating.
if you watch Lord of the Rings and then you watch that too,
Oh yeah.
there's
Mhm.
so many elements. Like there's this whole scene where they're all like, "And you have my sword and my axe," which is directly from Lord of the Rings. But
Mhm.
like that whole battle at the end is like, there's so
Oh
many
yeah.
things that are like, wow, this is done years later by Peter Jackson. And I don't know if Peter Jackson was inspired by Army of Darkness or if Army of Darkness was inspired by the Lord of the Rings book. Probably both.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of that out there.
And then ranking the rest of those, it is obviously Evil Dead Rise, 2013, and then Burn.
Yeah. No, for me, I grew up on Evil Dead 2, right? Evil Dead 2 is way easier to get your hands on than Evil Dead. And I remember watching the Evil Dead after they finally did some releases of that, after watching Evil Dead 2, which it's fascinating anyway, because so they did the original Evil Dead, and then when they were going to go pitch the sequel, Sam Raimi pitched the concept for Army of Darkness. And they said, no, 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 we don't want to do that movie. We want to do something more like the other one. So they're like, okay, well, we'll kind of, retcon that. And, I think hopefully everyone that's watching this is seeing the interviews where Bruce Campbell's basically explaining it. Is it a sequel? Is it a follow up? And he basically explains like how it's a sequel. And like the first 15 minutes of that basically get you caught up and just kind of recap the original Evil Dead.
I was about to say, it's literally like the moment he steps outside the cabin and zooms through the woods, that's the end of Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's basically what he says. And they show you the other stuff just to kind of give you this spot to pick up where you left off in a way, but they didn't have. I mean, the rights are a little different. I even think for that.
That's
instead
what they
of them
said. They
using their
couldn't.
own
They're like,
footage.
they couldn't use recap footage. I'm like, then why just don't recap it?
Mm-hmm.
Just make it start in the middle of it. Who gives a fuck? It's already a movie called Evil Dead 2. So, I don't know. But whatever. It's fine.
Okay, so some more comments in here. I know Ash Aaron's talking about, some of the Mummy has had its issues. I haven't seen that Mummy yet. And so, and then we got the Scorpion basically saying, Lee Cronin's The Mummy was better than Evil Dead Burn, and Rise is better than Burn, but 81 is the best horror movie ever. Okay. Getting some opinions in here. That's good. Like, I enjoy the first one a lot. I mean, I just love everything in the franchise, really. And
I mean, that's the thing is, I thought they had never made a bad Evil Dead movie until now.
mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say it's trash or anything. I'm not going to go out of my way because I'm happy for people that do like it. Just
It's
wasn't
not
for me. Like, really.
Had they made the Deadites feel like other Deadites, it would have been a little more entertaining.
Yeah.
I think that was the number one thing, is that it just felt like almost a zombie, almost like a demon possession movie in The Exorcist ways of things.
I
As
see.
opposed to
I feel like The
Deadite
Exorcist
stuff, yeah.
feels right at home with Evil Dead almost. And I just watched The Exorcist. That's the only reason I say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, the original. For
This
sure.
felt like, literally, I can't compare it to anything other than The Crazies. Because there's part of them there, but they're psycho versions of themselves.
Mhm.
And they can still talk, but they're assholes. Like, he's sitting there at dinner and he's just being a dick, and then he stabs the dog to death and then passes out and murders everyone and then just stands outside for hours and then makes out with his wife. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, and the other thing that's missing from this that I think would have really enhanced it would, like, had one of the Deadites, like, tried to appear as the alternate version of that, right? With Ash cutting his hand off, you get this, like, Deadite version of Ash that comes from that, right? So we don't have any of that kind of an element to bring any of the fucking weird zaniness to it that it kind of needed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good example too, because like I said, it is more similar to the Rage virus than anything else. More slow acting one for sure, but yeah.
Yeah. And then the color palette, the Scorpion says. So yeah, the color palette in this, it's a winter film. It's a funeral film. Like, some of that just felt like, again, I honestly really think this was written as a different movie, and then they just kind of fucking rewrote it as an Evil Dead movie.
Hmm.
I mean, it legit feels like, based on how some of that shit is, that they're like, okay, we can do that. And that's been done plenty of times before.
Yeah.
Saw 2 was written as a different movie, its own thing. Die Hard 2. Like, it happens all the fucking time in Hollywood. They were like, hey, you know what? We could do that and make it more marketable. Okay, great. Yeah, Evil Dead Burn. I guess that is another. I mean, Army of Darkness, they travel in the past. They're fucking all over the countryside out there. But as far as the regular Evil Dead titled films, yeah, they're all take place in a small, feels like a confined area. And like the fact that you're at this house, you're at the funeral parlor, you're at a construction site. And the construction site just felt like the end of fucking Terminator and the end of Terminator 2, like where there's all this shit that just
Mhm.
doesn't fucking make sense there. I'm just like, okay, is this guy trying to go back to the future? Like, if you're going to reference time travel in this fucking movie, let's not reference Terminator. Let's reference Ash versus Evil Dead. Or let's reference Army of Darkness. There's way better time travel that fits this genre better than Terminator.
Yeah. The mid credit scene where Ash shows up and says, "There's no fate but what we make it." That was pretty cool. And I liked it when Will died and sank into the fire and
Mm-hmm.
did the thumbs up.
Yeah, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did not like that character design at all. I thought that was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Like, that was just not a good Deadite look. Yeah, it was just whatever.
So
Will I watch this movie? Will I watch this movie again, though? Are you gonna watch this again?
here's the thing. I still haven't bought Evil Dead Rise, and I actually liked that one. And I do actually want to buy it. I've been thinking about it lately, so I'm probably going to pick that up soon. And I don't think I'll buy this one unless, like, I just don't. I don't know. Maybe eventually I'll come around and be like, I want it, the completionist in me. But right now, I'm not at all bothered by the idea of not owning it.
Yeah,
And I bought
one
Scream
seems like-
7. Ugh.
That's saying some shit right there, that you bought that and you're like, yeah, I'm skipping this. As a
Yeah.
physical media collector, like, you're like, okay, maybe just because, like, that's a whole other fucking conversation topic right now. With
Hey, at
some
least that had
bullshit.
Nev Campbell and Matthew Lillard in it. Even
Yeah,
if
that's
it
true.
was schlocky and still pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty much it. I think we beat the dead horse on this one. I don't think either of us really liked it. We rated them. I would have liked this movie a lot more had they just not called it Evil Dead Burn and just had it do its own thing, like it was probably originally written. I honestly think this is written as something else.
I probably would still think it's just okay if I saw it then.
Yeah, but I wouldn't
But
be
yeah.
as pissed. I wouldn't be as pissed about things. I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
that was a fun horror movie. Pretty gory.
I wouldn't be
whatever.
like, this is inconsistent with the rules of the universe like I am now. That's true.
Yeah, everyone's eyes changing color just reminds you of, like, what was that fucking Stephen King Sleepwalkers, where they're like the weird cat people and their eyes change color and shit. You're just like, come on now.
Well, yeah, like their eyes change color for sure, but like also other shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Like Evil Dead Rise, I'm thinking of that one shot where the eyeball is followed by the camera into the
Mhm.
dude's mouth.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing like that in this. Not even remotely.
Mm-mm.
Came nowhere close to that. So, sorry.
Yeah.
Gonna have to give it, I don't know, like a 2.5 out of 5 hearts.
2.5 out of 5. Yeah, I was gonna say, if we're going on a scale of 10, I would say a 4, but I would almost just do just a 2.
It has a 5 out of 10, I would say, but that's just based on like a scale of I understand what you're trying to do. It's not like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I've said all I can say. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Maybe it is lower than a 5. I don't know.
Okay, so the next question then, since we're on topic, but moving on, and we'll wrap this up with it. Does this help or hurt how you're feeling about what's the next one called?
Evil Dead Wrath. It does
Yeah.
not affect it at all, actually, because
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's, and another entirely different director and all that,
Yeah.
which is the point of what they're doing. So it could be fucking better than Evil Dead Rise, for all I know. I'm not recognizing any of the cast. It's directed by Francis Galuppi, known for directing the thriller Last Stop in Yuma County, which I have not seen. And nothing else that I've seen. The Gemini Project short film. That'll be his second feature film, so.
Yeah, I don't care about how many movies someone's directed before, whether or not that's going to make a good movie, because that is almost irrelevant these days. Especially when you're not shooting on film, you can shoot digital and you don't have to fucking worry about like how much film you have to develop. But Dead-Eyed Ellie, I get a lot of people complaining about how she came back after she was turning to blood and guts with her 2 kids, right? And so like that felt like an unnecessary nod. Again, that's why I felt like this movie was shoehorned in and rewritten as an Evil Dead sequel, because it just feels like there was shit in there that they added in there just to kind of like force it together, which like you don't have to do that for a horror movie like this at all. This doesn't need to connect to everything else, right? The connection is that it's like the Book of the Dead and the daggers and
I would
shit
rather
like
them
that
just
works.
have it connect as opposed to dick teasing a connection all the time. Just fucking connect it then.
Yeah, but then you're gonna have to fucking throw Ash in there too. Just fucking bring him back in there, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I still have some hope for Evil Dead Wrath. I know they're flat out saying that this is a prequel this time, but that was the thing with some of the trailers for this. They almost made this look like it kind of could have been a prequel in some ways, shape, or form.
I was about to say, you know what they could do? This guy, Fourth 1000, says, would you guys like to see a serious Army of Darkness installation? If so, who directs it? I would say, you know what? Make a medieval Dead movie. Call it that. You don't even have to have Ash in it. It could be like one of these installations, as long as you balance the comedy. Make it more serious than Army of Darkness, but more on line with Evil Dead 2, somewhere between Evil Dead 2 and Rise's tone.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch it. Fuck yeah. I don't know who would direct that, though. Be funny to have Robert Eggers do it.
Just for fucking giggles.
Because it would be so fucking serious and overdone. Not that his movies are like bad. I like his movies, but it's just like tonally does not match. I was just trying to think of somebody who had like a good historical vision, and he does. So,
well,
cutting out the gore wouldn't make it any more serious. The Scorpions. I just mean that I like horror comedy. I like being horrified and laughing intentionally, and that's what's so great about that first trilogy. Is like that first movie is trying to scare you more than make you laugh, but it ends up making you laugh a lot. The second one is kind of embracing that, and by the time they're at Army of Darkness, they're like, fuck it. Blood and Three Stooges bits. It's what this is.
For sure. All right, well, really appreciate everyone tuning in and joining and throwing in their thoughts. Yeah, I'm not going to watch this again unless I have a real fucking reason to. And I say that right now, but I've never rewatched the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I've just never had the desire to. And this one is just one of those I just don't have any desire to see it again. In 10 years, maybe, I don't know. But right now,
yeah,
don't really give a fuck.
Same.
So, all right, well, we'll see you back at it probably next week. We'll have to figure out what's going on then, but we'll be back at it with you then. And yeah, thanks for joining Strange Glow Video on the Ectoviolence channel tonight.
Yeah, sorry. I really like the director of the first Omen. Yeah, same. The first movie's laughs were not intentional, though. That's what I'm saying. The first movie was trying to scare you, but it was funny because the gore, the effects, and the performances were just like, that's why it's my favorite in the franchise. It's a masterpiece of just everything.
Well, that one has that comedy that's like a Nightmare on Elm Street, where Nightmare on Elm Street's
Yes.
not trying to be funny, but it's intentional there, and then they just fucking played off that element later on for the later installments.
None of these Deadites in Evil Dead Burn were like laughing and like making fucked up comments about shit. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
like they're making fun of like, oh, you like being a victim of DV, and you're like, the fuck is this? What kind of nonsense is that? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we're gonna call it. I'm just now realizing. I think, yeah, Fourth's profile picture is. If you can't see this, you probably can't. It's
I can't know.
It's a picture of Justin Long, but after he's been transformed into a walrus in Tusk.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you at it sooner than later.
Peace.